We always promise to give you all the good and all the bad. So today we're doing the bad. Our channel is full of good stuff about Summerville. There's a few things around here that are not so awesome. We're going to talk about it today.
Yeah, so I wrote down a list of stuff that we kind of came up with together. Of either questions that people are asking us about moving here. You know, what about this? What about that? That's different than my state type of thing. So we're going to go through those things. If we haven't met before, my name is Mark. This is Jeff. We're with the Charleston Area Living Group, and we talk about all things Charleston, Summerville, Santee, down to almost Beaufort, Myrtle Beach coming soon.
Super exciting.
All kinds of stuff. So if you want to know anything about that, definitely subscribe, like, do all that stuff on our channel. But today, let's talk about these things, okay? Yeah. So,
and I'm going to try to be a glass half empty kind of guy today.
Okay.
Because in general, I'm a glass half full kind of guy.
In general, you are, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you have a bad morning or something.
If there's no coffee and I'm grumpy and I stub my toe in the morning, I'm probably going to go glass half empty till about noon. But today,
then you turn it around.
I find a way normally to spin it up.
You do. All right. So let's talk about the development fees that some of these neighborhoods have.
Yeah.
So some have them, some don't.
Right.
The newer ones that are master plan communities.
Yep.
Most of them are going to have them except for one, right?
Yeah. So there's, let's just name them out. So, you know, Moncks Corner has one. So either the Horizons or in the Azalea Ridge and all those other Sweetgrass, all the non-55s, they have them. Nexton has one overall. Carnes has one in the new section where Lennar has everything. And actually, there's one that you and I forget about all the time, and I bet you forgot about it today.
Probably did.
Sangre.
Sangre
has its own special assessment district.
Yep, that's right.
And nothing new in Sangre. Those are 20, 30-year-old homes for the most part.
80s, yeah.
Oh, it's like you say they're 80 years old. Like,
no, they were built in the 80s.
They're built in the 80s.
They're almost 40 years old now.
Back in, quick, give me an 80s band. When Def Leppard was.
His money he was counting.
Yeah, there you go.
When Def Leppard built houses over here in Sangre.
And those can range for what? Like, what do you think the highest one is?
$900.
$900.
$400 to $900 a year.
Okay.
And those kind of just get added on to your taxes. So if you have a, all right, let's say a Carnes house where the Berkeley County tax would be $2,300, it's going to be like $2,800, $2,900, $3,000, somewhere in there, because of the extra tax added on to the Berkeley County tax.
Okay, and then some of those can go up every year, right?
Yeah, so they are, I think they can go up 2% a year on some of them for up to 30 years. Now, the language is in there that they don't have to increase. If they get enough money, those don't have to go out 30 years, but let's be realistic. Big brother wants his money, I don't see those going away.
So people always complain about, oh, there's too much growth here sometimes, right?
Yeah.
In that case, growth is a good thing because the more people that pay it,
get more money in.
Your development fee might not come up.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
See, glass half full.
All right, so since we started talking about taxes, let's go taxes.
Okay.
Depending on which county that you end up moving to, your taxes may be higher than the county next door, right?
Yeah, I would say if we're comparing apples to apples, Dorchester is probably the highest, even higher than Charleston County. And then Berkeley County, where we do a ton of work. We do most of our work in Dorchester and Berkeley.
Yep.
We do quite a bit down in Charleston also, of course. But if you're comparing apples to apples with the same house right across the line in Dorchester versus Berkeley, on the average $450,000 house, what would you say? There's probably a $500 difference between Berkeley and Dorchester?
5 to 7, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, so Dorchester being higher.
Yeah, Dorchester being higher. All right, so we talked about taxes. Let's talk about flood zones. So that's important, especially if you're coming from, Massachusetts, New England, Arizona, California even probably.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about flood zones, right?
No. But here in Summerville, for the most part, you don't have to worry about flood zones as far as flood insurance.
Yes.
There are houses here that are in, let's back it up. The whole area is technically kind of a flood zone.
It's called the low country.
It's the low country. But what we're looking for is the X flood zone, which is where if you have a mortgage, you don't have to have insurance on your house. Mark and I both live in X flood zones. Do you have flood insurance?
I do not.
I don't either. I just don't see a scenario where my house is going to flood.
Well, a good example is a couple weeks ago, right? We had, what, 20 inches of rain?
Lil Debbie came rolling through.
Yeah, in a matter of 3, 4, 5 days tops. And yes, we were stuck in our homes in some of them.
Yeah.
But none of the water came up to our homes, right?
All right, so there are some houses with flood zones here in Summerville, but the good news is we can tell you that before you even go see a house.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And there's certain most neighbors that don't have any flood zones here at all.
But if you're buying down in Charleston and Mount Pleasant, that's something you really need to pay a lot of attention to because flood insurance can be $1,000 or it can be $12,000, right?
It went up here about 3 years ago. They redistricted some areas, and I did have a client that was paying, I think, $700-ish a year, and it went up to $3,000 a year in insurance. So that, if you're down near the coast, that could be an issue.
And I guess, $3,000 versus zero, that might make a decision on where I want to live.
Well, personally,
it's not huge, but
I wouldn't choose a house in a flood zone.
Yeah,
I just don't like throwing.
You don't want to deal with it.
Not only I don't want to deal with the money, but that's telling me there's a potential. Even if I have insurance, I still don't want to go through the hassle of worrying about my house being flooded. Can you imagine if you lived in a flood zone that you were prone to, and that Debbie was rolling through with 25 inches of rain? How much stress would that bring you?
Right, and you'd have to leave, and
it's just nothing you need to do.
All right, so we talked a little bit about Mount Pleasant. What do you think the major price differences are from a Mount Pleasant, a James Island, a Johns Island, to a Summerville, Ladson, Goose Creek? Yeah,
so 14 years ago when I moved here, I bought a house in Knightsville in the Reminisce neighborhood
which is part of Summerville.
$253,000, 3,700 square foot house.
Huge.
Nice, big house. D.R. Horton built. And at the time, they were building that same house in the neighborhood in Mount Pleasant. And it was about $100,000 to $150,000 difference between the two. Same exact house, 150 more in Mount Pleasant, let's say. Now that swing, I feel, is getting, it's creeping up to $500,000 more. Like, I would absolutely say it's at least $250,000.
Yeah, so last week, I was reading it this morning. I think there was 248 homes that went under contract. I think the average price down in Mount Pleasant was just under $1 million. The average price overall in Charleston was, now Charleston goes far away, right? Was just under $500,000.
Yeah.
And in Summerville, it was $400,000.
So we're $500,000.
$500,000 difference.
Yeah. So big difference. And I'll make a case, unless you want to be feet in the sand all the time,
like multiple times a week,
I like Summerville better.
Yeah. All that stuff that was down in Charleston is moving towards Mount Pleasant. towards Summerville.
Yeah.
And we have the halls, we've got Pugins porches, restaurants, and all that kind of stuff for sure.
Summerville has become its own travel destination also. So it's not just the tourists that coming to Mount Pleasant and Charleston. Tourists are now coming to Summerville.
Yeah, we have one of the biggest festivals. Every year, the Sweet Tea Festival, the Azalea Festival, right? I think that was over 150,000 people come here.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I guess I do know why. They want to make sure it's well attended, but they do it the same weekend as the Cooper River Bridge Run when they run. And so that weekend, if you're not coming in for that festival or that bridge run, don't come to Summerville or Charleston that weekend. It's crazy.
I would even argue it's a good weekend to go away.
Yeah. We should start renting our houses out,
right?
Like an Airbnb,
like they do for Augusta
the big
golf match.
Yeah, we could
Masters.
retire from one weekend.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, so we talked a little bit about shopping, restaurants, and food. I would say that's an important decision when you're looking at which community, which neighborhood, which town to live in. What is the lifestyle that you want to live? Do you want that direct access to going to that shopping and golf carting up to that shopping, or are you okay going 15 minutes away, right?
Yeah.
There's some neighborhoods that just don't have it, like Summers Corner, for instance.
When you were in Mass, did you ever, was ever going shopping by golf cart even a thought in your mind?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, in Pittsburgh, it's just not a thing.
Right.
So being here is kind of new for us. But if that's important to you, that is going to settle you into, especially in Summerville, 2 or 3 very specific areas. Next in Cane Bay and soon to be Carnes.
Yes. That Publix coming over at Carnes and
so
all that additional retail. And
have you seen that lately? They are moving dirt.
Like yeah, they cleared it out pretty fast.
Pretty fast.
And they've got that extra light, and
yeah,
they've already widened 176 over there by the hospital.
Yep.
So that's all good. So since we're talking a little bit about roads, let's go right into commute to work, traffic, and infrastructure.
Yeah, this is probably one of the times when Mark and I most often end up telling people Summerville may not be for you.
Yeah.
If you work in Mount Pleasant or downtown Charleston and you've got an 8 to 4, 9 to 5 job, I would give it a second thought before I live here in Summerville. Now, I did go down to James Island yesterday.
Okay.
And I went down at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I rolled right through. I was going 65 miles an hour down 26 the whole way.
You left your house at 9?
I left our office at 9.
Okay.
And it was a 33-minute ride to get deep into James Island.
But that's past that drive.
It's right past the window. And there was no accidents.
Yeah.
All it takes is one accident on 26 and you are screwed.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So if you work downtown, you may want to think about even lots of nice places down in West Ashley, North Charleston, and those are much lower price points than Charleston proper or Mount Pleasant.
James Island, Johns Island, all that stuff. Yeah, for sure. So infrastructure, a lot of people, you see it on the Facebook groups and the Moving to Summerville Facebook group, and people that live here or have lived here for a long time say the infrastructure has not kept up with the amount of growth that we're seeing here.
And I would say they were right up until now.
Yes.
Because we have got big road construction over, like Mark was just talking, getting over into Cane Bay. They're going from 2 lanes to 4 over by the hospital. That's going to help great because it did suck. Trying to go to Cane Bay from Summerville.
Well,
like
that
Main
one day
Street,
you came to my house from Carnes.
Yeah.
You said it was like 30 minutes
it
or
was,
something.
It was stupid.
Yeah.
A little
and
bit
that's
of road rage coming in me.
6 miles, right?
Yeah. But that road's being widened. Berlin G down here with the new bridge and the whole, so it is catching up. And what you just end up learning is there's back roads to take. So you're going to get held up on Main Street at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You're going to sit through a light.
Go Nexton Parkway.
Yeah, but there's other roads around it once you're local. Even I still use Waze. I know every road in Summerville now, but I still use Waze around Summerville because every now and then, once or twice a week, it'll say, nope, don't go that way, go this way.
And even though some of those back roads, like not to be super negative or anything, but just to be real, the Nexton Parkway at 5 o'clock, trying to go home to Cane Bay, that's even backed up a little bit. They should have made that 4 lanes.
They really should have.
Right off the bat, and they didn't. So there's some mistakes, of course. But
and some red lights were needed.
I feel like, oh yes, absolutely.
And they're coming.
Yeah, they are coming.
There are more red lights coming in.
There's one coming at Midtown.
Yeah.
And I think North Creek where it hits Nexton Parkway.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a light there as well.
If you're coming out of Midtown and you want to turn left towards our office.
Oh, you might as well take a right.
Take a right, go down, turn around, come back.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's mistakes happening. If you really want to see some traffic, go to Atlanta, go to Boston.
Oh my goodness,
Do we compare to those cities?
No.
We're not that big.
No.
But it'll make you appreciate what you have here a little
Absolutely.
bit more, right?
Yeah, that big roundabout in Atlanta, like 18 lanes across or something. Like you have to plan ahead a day if you're in the far left lane to be able to exit 10 miles from now.
I used to have to go to Alpharetta for one of the call centers there when I worked for Verizon.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to move there. Like my job was ending here, wanted me to move there. I'm glad I didn't because then I would have never met you.
I'm glad you didn't.
And so I really considered it. And then, after thinking back through the times I visited there, I was like, no way. Like,
No.
I would have to buy a house. I'd have to be out by Canton or
Yeah.
way out 40 minutes away. And that 40-minute traffic would be an hour and a half probably.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't down for that.
That's not Summerville.
Yeah.
Or Charleston.
Right, for sure. So we talked about roadways and infrastructure. That always brings in the thought of schools. I didn't even write this one down.
Okay.
But a lot of people saying there are not enough schools. So over in Cane Bay, for instance, the elementary school, had a wait list this year.
Mm-hmm.
Some kids had to be bused over to Westview Elementary School.
Okay.
So there are things like that. But just here in Summerville anyways, we've got 2 new schools that will be done in the next 2 to 3 years.
And 2 that have opened in the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. So they're starting to become pretty smart with that stuff.
The biggest, if we're going to be negative, the biggest thing for me would be is if you wanted to be in Cane Bay and you wanted to have your kids absolutely go to Cane Bay schools, we need to have a conversation. Because and these lines can always change, but as of today, there are certain neighborhoods, correct?
That's right.
That are going to go to Cane Bay.
Yep.
And there's certain neighbors, if you move to, your kid's going to be shipped out to Whitesville.
And you can't even go by the neighborhood because at least one of the neighborhoods doesn't all go to the same school.
That'd be weird.
So like Lindera, part of that goes to Cane Bay schools, part of it goes to Moncks Corner schools.
Yeah. And there's a brand new school being built right outside of Cane Bay, like one of the ones Mark was talking about. So they are catching up.
And some of these agents that don't sell a lot in this area don't know all this stuff about schools. You move in, you go to register your kid for school, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
You got to go up to Moncks Corner.
Mark and I are really clear with people when we know you have kids about where you're going and where your kids are going to go to school.
Absolutely.
And there's also plenty of private school options, religious and non-religious, within the Summerville area. Some great schools.
Yeah. All right, so we talked a little bit about property taxes. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about car taxes because that's another big
that one kind of
change
sucks
here, right?
Yeah.
We're not really.
What did you pay? No, I realize this is back in the Stone Ages, and you had like the Fred Flintstone car that you had to pedal because you're so old. But back in the day, how did you register your vehicle in Mass? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I know it wasn't every year though. I don't think.
Okay.
I think it was every couple years. Now you had your inspections up there, which
we did too. Yep.
You don't have down here.
Nope. You see a couple cars around town that you realize they're definitely not doing inspections.
Yeah. So maybe some of that evens out when you think about it. But here, every year we have the car tax.
Yeah.
And it's based on how new is your car? What is the value of that car? The higher that value, the higher your property tax on your car is going to be.
Yep. So a $50,000 car, if you go out and buy a new $50,000 car, you're going to be in the $350 to $450 a year range.
Yeah.
Would you say?
I would. Yep.
And here's where you really get hurt is on your toys. If you have an RV, if you have a motorcycle, if you have golf cart, an LSV golf cart, if you have, my problem was I came down here with my boat from Pittsburgh. I think I paid tax on my trailer, my boat, and on the outboard motor.
So hold on, trailer, boat, outboard motor. How many times a year did you go out on your boat?
That's why I don't have a boat now.
So
clearly not enough. Yeah. And I had a pontoon boat. So these are not really pontoon waters. And I didn't realize that when I came down. Great boating town, just not great for pontoons for the most part. So the taxes can get you. I paid a couple $100 on my golf cart this year for the tax. My slingshot, I think, was about $250. And so now the one, remember the Geo Tracker I had?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the 20-some-year-old. I paid $16 tax on that one.
So Abby got her first car,
Yeah.
which she's getting her license next month. Please pray for me.
Yeah, please.
I failed the written test twice.
Pray for both of us.
Yes.
'cause his kids are next.
Yeah. Not
So
looking forward to
we
that.
got a 2010 Volkswagen Beetle with 120,000 miles on it. For
Yeah.
her, right? Good starter car. $12.
$12. Yes.
$12,
Yeah,
baby.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
In Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania, mine, at least back in the day, was $36 to register your car, but then you also had to inspect, and that was another $20 or $30, and then if you had to get anything done to pass inspection. But going from $36 when I left to, at the time, $200, and that was on every vehicle. So if you own a couple, 3 vehicles, it can
gonna
add
add
up. When you do the math on, because at the end of the day, we care about dollars going out of the household. When we're comparing the $12,000 in taxes from somebody coming from Connecticut, New Jersey, Mass, whatever, Pennsylvania even, to the $2,500 in taxes here in the house, you can own a lot of cars before you end up matching even.
Yeah, you're still making out pretty good.
You're
right?
far ahead.
Yeah. All right, last item. The wildlife here in South Carolina.
Parties? Nightlife?
Not the wildlife.
Nightclubs?
Not wild nights.
Okay.
Wildlife.
I haven't had a wild night in about 22 years.
Oh, you're way too old for that.
So people are always asking, hey, I want to move there because of the alligators. You have really big bugs down there.
Yeah.
What about all the snakes that I see on these Facebook groups
Yeah.
and stuff? So we do have some of that
So,
stuff, right?
so my biggest fear in life is snakes and snakes that look like
Like
snakes.
that one right there?
Don't do that. That's not funny. Terrified of snakes. There are poisonous snakes here. I have seen a few around neighborhoods on Facebook pages. I have seen my brother, his dog got bit in the face by a poisonous snake.
Oh, it blew up, I bet, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lost an eye. And
Poor thing.
yeah, but
So our client over in Horizons
Yeah.
sent me a picture last night, and they called the police because there was a rattlesnake on somebody's driveway, and they had to relocate it.
yeah, but that's the good news, that you can get them relocated.
Yeah.
I have never seen a poisonous snake in person here in Charleston. They are here.
Yeah, I've heard about them on the Cane Bay trails. I've just never seen them myself. But they blend in so well. Most of the time, they want to be on their own. Like, they're not coming after you. Like, if you run down the thing away from it and you're walking away, it's not like, Charlie the snake is chasing you 4 miles.
Sorry, I just pictured you running. And then
I don't run at all.
The snake chasing you out with the hat on that
Yeah.
says Charlie. And
Oh, have you seen on the golf courses where they clip on the fishing line on the back
Yeah.
of those? And then they run
I
around?
would pee myself. So I will say I heard of one person in 14 years that got bit by a poisonous snake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, down in Wanamaker Park. Outside that, I've not heard of any but one person and one dog that got bit by a poisonous snake. Now, alligators, they're killing everybody here. They're killers.
They are not.
They
are not.
They're annihilating the entire society of Charleston.
I did see down in Hilton Head, though, where somebody was walking their dog or whatever. Luckily, she was carrying a 9mm and
Yeah.
had to shoot it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So she
it
shot
was
the dog
aggressive.
so that it wouldn't.
No, she shot the alligator.
Oh, she shot the alligator.
Yeah.
See, that makes way more sense to
Yeah.
me. I was wondering why would you shoot your dog? That
But
seems
That's like
stupid.
the one story I've heard in the last 8 years, probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're here. So what we care about mostly is the neighborhoods that we deal with, of course. So Carnes, Cane Bay, Nexton, you will occasionally see a 4 or a 5 footer. They'll leave if you go close to them.
We've got video from Moncks Corner. Remember where?
Oh yeah.
I was like, "There's an alligator. Let's get video of
Yeah.
it." Like, because we didn't have video of
Right.
the alligator, and like I couldn't even get to the sidewalk from the car, and that thing was gone.
Gone. Yeah, I mean, unless you're out there and you tie a whole chicken to your dog and send them down to
Yeah.
the water to go fishing, like we just don't see
Right.
that it's a real problem. And if an alligator does become a problem, it's typically because some yahoo was out there feeding a chicken or something, and then they just take them away and send them to an alligator farm where they get to relax and live their life in joyful, peaceful alligator life.
Yes.
Alligator heaven.
Now bugs.
Yeah.
Bugs are a thing.
Yeah.
Bugs are a thing everywhere. They're a little bit bigger this year now.
This year's been worse.
Yeah.
I've heard multiple people on Facebook this year complaining about mosquitoes more than ever before, and it was just something to do with the wetness or the weather.
Probably because from those storms and stuff.
I would
we've
think
been
so.
getting. So a little bit.
I
little bit wetter.
chose to not screen in my back porch.
Me too. Yep.
So that's how bad the bugs aren't here in our opinions. We don't have screened in porches. Now, most of our people coming from the north say absolutely want to screen in porch, and they are screening in most of the porches.
Yep.
We've been here for 15 and 20 some years now, and we don't have screened in porches. So they're not, and we're out here in Summerville too. I did get lit up once on having dinner at Shem Creek
Oh yeah.
one time,
If you're by water that's stagnant,
Yeah.
you're probably gonna see some more.
And when I go out to
mosquitoes.
the range in the middle of the woods, there's one place I go, I do throw on some bug spray then.
Yeah.
So I just smell like a citronella candle for the day, but
You smell like a candle.
Now, it also depending on where you live, up in Santee on the golf course up there, because that's Abby's home course up there. There are a season of these super annoying, like, I don't know what they're called, mayflies almost.
oh yeah.
And like they don't hurt or anything.
No.
But they're all
They're just-
over you, in
just
your
annoying.
face, and Like, I want one of those hats with the screen.
But we haven't found that to be an issue for us or for our clients at their homes in these neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And you can also, a lot of people do spray their yards. I don't feel like it, my yard doesn't need it, but you can, if you had a problem, you can spray your yard.
I did for a year and a half. I did spray my yard.
And I think that done it now.
I haven't done it now. I might think about it again now because we got the pool, we got the woods behind us.
Yeah.
But you know,
so
you should spray your house.
Oh yeah.
Every 6 months, both and I, Jeff, use this guy, Mr. Bob, does an awesome job. Carolina Premier Pest Control, right?
Yep, that sounds right.
You know, they come and we really don't see anybody.
A lot of our clients use them. We've referred them to a lot of our clients, and I think we pay full price too.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, how do we not get a deal for
What's
sending
up,
them
Bob?
Bob, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. So bugs are a little bit of a deal, but in our opinion, not that big of a deal.
Yeah. So you might have some more specific questions about living here in South Carolina. If you want to chat about that, we would love to do that. We always do Zoom calls with our clients. Down in the description, you can click on that link that says book a Zoom call. It'll drop right into our calendar. We can talk about bugs, alligators, taxes, whatever you want. And really what we want to do is figure out what lifestyle do you want to live so we can match you up to the best community for the budget that you want to pay.
I've got a solution. If they say, listen, I'm going to do that. I want to schedule a Zoom call, but I'm like 19 years out from moving. I'm not ready for that yet, but I have one question. I have a solution for them.
Okay.
Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock on the channel, we do a live for an hour every Tuesday. Jump on, ask us the question. We'll put you up on the screen, not you, put your question up on the screen and we'll answer it then.
And we have a tendency to talk too long sometimes. Last week, we went an hour and like 11 minutes. So
that's all you. You control the schedule on that thing.
That's true.
I mean, I can get to yipping, but I blame you. By 8 o'clock at night, I'm ready to be done. Yeah, it's dinner time.
All right. Well, until the next one,
see you later.